Hello, everybody, and welcome. I hope you're all excited as I am to have our fantasy football draft guide launch party. I've got a bunch of fantastic guests lined up for you guys, but first, I kind of want to just spend a couple minutes telling you guys a little bit in general about what we've got going on tonight. And of course, all these guys that we've got, here with us tonight, they are some of them new to Sports Ethos, some of them have been around with Sports Ethos doing different things. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of intro all those guys to you as they come on, talk about their specific projects, and if you guys have any questions or anything like that about what they're talking about specifically, go ahead and just hit us with it in the comments, and we'll go ahead and get it up here and see if we can answer it. We are going to be trying to promo this draft guide we've got going on here, so we will have that link for you guys in the chat there. I've got it up on the screen here. If you guys don't already have the draft guide, I'm telling you, it is phenomenal. I haven't played fantasy football probably for about, I don't know, 5-6 years. Not seriously, at least. I was very casual even when I was playing. And just talking to these guys and reading what they've got going on, honestly, it's been a game changer. I feel like I'm a way better player. I'm on top of things. If I were to go back to my casual league, yeah, it'd be incredible. I would probably just blow away the competition. I'd blow away my poor grandpa, his poor soul. Drafting kickers in the 8th round or whatever it was. So without further ado, though, guys, I'm going to go ahead. Oh, and do stick around. Also, I want to go ahead and let you guys know we are going to be doing a giveaway here about halfway through the show. So do stick around for that. Giving away a free subscription to the draft guide. Imagine that. It's going to be incredible. But we're going to be doing that for you guys. But without further ado now, I'm going to bring on our first contributor here named Jason Baum. Let me bring him on here. There's my guy, Jason. How's it going, Jason?
Hey, Keith. I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, man. So, yeah, man, just wanted to kind of bring you on here. I think, just to kind of get everyone icebreaker a little bit and everyone a little bit settled here. Just as an intro, first of all, just tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been playing fantasy football, and, who your favorite team is.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been playing fantasy football since about 2006. Picked it up with some high school football teammates of mine. Just kind of randomly decided to do a league, and we did a draft one night after a team dinner, and it just became kind of a thing. And then went away for a couple of years, and then my senior year of college, picked it back up with some guys in my fraternity, and we've been doing the league for about 10 years. Picked up some other leagues along the way. Favorite team, I grew up in San Francisco. Still a diehard Niner fan to this day, and still feeling the hope that we can finally get over that proverbial hump.
So how are you feeling about the Niners this season? You feeling up on them, down on them? What do you think?
I feel pretty good. I mean, they have a pretty stacked roster at this point. Obviously, some questions surrounding the quarterback position. Will Brock Purdy be healthy week one? If he is, he's obviously going to, get the nod. There's some Trey Lance has made some mechanical tweaks, and they also added in Sam Darnold. It's a pretty deep quarterback room. The skill players on the outside, it's a group as good as anybody in the league at this point. And the defense, even though we lost D'Amico Ryans as defensive coordinator, you bring in a guy like Steve Wilkes, who's an absolute stud of a DC, added one of the bigger free agent signings of the season in Javon Hargrave. Got some young guys in the secondary who I'd expect to take that next step forward while returning some pretty all-world players on the front seven. So very, very excited to see what the Niners can do. Hopefully there's no NFC title game hangover this year.
So, yeah, I think a lot of people are paying attention, obviously, to the quarterback situation there. And I know you mentioned Brock Purdy. So, obviously, you follow all the insiders. What's the latest scoop on his health?
As of right now, it looks like he went to Jacksonville to start really ramping up the throwing process this week over the next couple. At this point, by all accounts, it seems like he should be ready to go week one. I hope that's the case. You never want to see anything, bad happen to anybody. And, especially a guy like him who led us to, about 8 straight wins towards the end of the year and just didn't even really get a chance to play in the title game after Hassan Reddick made that hit. It was, obviously a very clean play, but very unfortunate. We couldn't throw.
It is what it is, man. It's just football. Stuff like that happens. But let's talk about what you've been working on here with the draft guide. And I know you were, kind of came to me with a kind of an interesting idea. Well, I would call it interesting. It's kind of a higher level idea, I think. But just kind of drafting guys who have agreeable or easy playoff schedules, which I think is obviously something that we look at. It might not be the game changer for us. I know for me, especially when I'm in fantasy basketball, I'm not necessarily looking and expecting I'm going to be in the fantasy playoffs, but if we're between two guys and we have to kind of weigh those factors, that might be one of those factors that kind of sways us one way or the other. So tell me about, kind of how you came to that concept. Is that something you've used in your leagues to win in the past?
It's never something I've really used in my leagues to win in the past, but what I've noticed is we get so sensationalized about like weeks 1 and 2 that we don't really think about what you're really playing for, which is weeks 15, 16, and 17 now with the extra game, or, back in the past, weeks 14, 15, and 16. Although one year I did win a league, I picked Russell Wilson with that in mind, and I ended up winning a title out of it. Just kind of let him sit. I think it was 2014. I picked him very late in the draft, let Matt Ryan go for the first few weeks. Wilson's passing ability started coming around a little bit, and by about mid-season, he became my guy. Although, I was cruising in first place and had a bunch of a chance to tweak, make lineup tweaks and all that, and a lot of room for error. I just started going with him, and then by the playoffs, that was he was my QB1, and him in beast mode, ironically enough, as much as I don't like the Seahawks, led me to a title.
I think we've got 3 articles now. I think 2 of them are up on the site already, and maybe one's kind of sitting out there waiting to be up on the site. So I apologize about that, guys, but it will get up there eventually. But I think 3 articles now regarding that topic, right? Good playoff schedules.
Yeah. We did easiest and hardest playoff schedules, and then we're talking about players to maybe eye during those playoff times, or for potential weeks 15 to 17 matchups, and then players to maybe think twice on. I'm not saying completely avoid them or completely jump for this guy, but when you're drafting, it's something that never hurts to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Especially if you're building out your roster and maybe looking for some extra depth.
Yeah.
That was where my thought process came in on this, and that's why I did what I did.
Yeah.
So I was just really looking at strength of matchups, how teams do against a certain position from last season, and that was really where everything came in.
Yeah. An elite player is going to be an elite player. I mean, matchup proof, pretty much, and it's not really a problem. But when you're talking about those guys, like you said, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th round, kind of winding out your bench there, that's kind of where it comes into play there. You want to get those guys that are more, agreeable schedules, have that schedule there in the playoffs there. You also worked.
Sorry, Keith. There's very few guys in the league who are matchup proof. I mean, we're talking like a very small handful of guys. There's some guys even in the first round at this point who may not even be matchup proof.
Interesting. Sorry, I muted myself there. So you also worked on our team pages a little bit, which, obviously helped us kind of clean those up, add a little bit of a context to those. Any of those that kind of stick out to you as one that you were kind of proud of, that you kind of want to showcase to the people?
Yeah, actually, as much as I'd love to brag about the Niners, I mean, that's
you did do the Niners. I know you did the Niners one, yeah.
Yeah, it's just not too difficult of a page to write about. You obviously know what you're getting, and you're getting elite fantasy options really at every position, maybe except for quarterback, and even still, you're getting at the very worst a high-end QB2. I actually really like talking about the Indianapolis Colts. That was the one I took a lot of pride because that one's a little difficult to decipher. Granted, they have Jonathan Taylor, who's a high-end RB1 at this point. Will probably go top 5 despite having a down year and dealing with injuries. Michael Pittman, who's still a very good receiver. There's a lot of other questions at other positions. That took some digging to figure out. And, especially now with them drafting Anthony Richardson, seeing when he's going to finally get his time is going to be the very big thing. And at the end of the day, if you're looking for a quarterback who may be able to put up some empty stats, because we really don't know with the AFC South who's going to attend. At this point, the Jaguars, I would presume, are the favorites, just with the step they took last year, and now that Trevor Lawrence has some competent coaching. But there could be some room for Richardson and C.J. Stroud to get chances to put up empty stats. And we're not talking about, at this point, in real how they progress in real football. When we're talking about fantasy, we're here just straight up for compiling and looking for stats. And those two guys may have some big opportunities towards the end of the year because we don't know how good they're going to be or how good their teams are going to be. But the Texans better hope that they're good because they gambled their first-round pick this year on them at least being respectable.
Yeah, I think, and that's interesting. So definitely check out that Colts team page. I think for these team pages, what we're doing now is we're actually incorporating, if you guys aren't aware, we actually have a wager pass division, which does wagering. I'm part of that as well, where we kind of throw out wagers that we like. We've all been successful. I know for the NBA season myself, I won 30 units. Michael Fiddle is going to be throwing some plays in there as well. You're going to want to get those plays because I think he won something like 80 units or something like that. Ridiculous last season. So you want to get those, but we're going to go through one team-specific play into each team page. I don't think we've done the Colts yet, but we will get around to doing that. So I think that's one exciting wrinkle that you guys get with that draft guide that you don't get anywhere else. But I think, one thing you mentioned there while we were talking that kind of struck a chord with me was, you were talking about, you're working on these things, you had to do the research. I mean, a lot of times you kind of get stuck in this, mindset that we know everything and there's nothing new to discover when it comes to fantasy sports, fantasy football, fantasy basketball, fantasy baseball. But once you actually sit down and you're actually trying to inform other people, because when it's your choice, you're the one that's getting the repercussions of a bad choice. But when you're going to suggest it to other people, that kind of makes you look a little bit deeper at things, no?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's something I have personal experience in anyway. I get a lot of advice asking, who should I start? Who should I sit? Should I pick up this guy? Should I pick up that guy? Should I drop this guy? Should I drop that guy? I try to, tell people the same things and be consistent with how I go about processing certain things. But again, there's certain leagues that have certain aspects that you have to be cognizant of. Sometimes you have dynasty leagues. Sometimes you have keeper leagues. Sometimes it's a full-blown redraft, so you can afford to, let somebody go. In football, most cases you have redrafts. So what you're kind of doing is you're kind of just doing for the here and now. The big league that I play in, we're finally adding keepers in this year. That factored into a lot of my thought process when it came to some of the moves I made. I ended up, with a point where I had a massive hole at tight end. This one guy in the league had Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce. So I kept pushing for a trade. I had, a lot of wide receivers. I had, DeAndre Hopkins and Keenan Allen and a couple other, decent high-end, either low-end receiver ones or high-end twos before they came back. So that was how I ended up working out a trade. And now I'm in a position where do I keep Kelce or do I keep another receiver that I have? So when you're building out your rosters, just looking for depth.
I was on mute the whole time. You weren't even going to tell me, were you?
Didn't really know how to go about that one, to be honest.
No worries. I was just asking, who would you start with in the first round? We're going to rule out Justin Jefferson, but you have a pick of anybody else in the first round. Who's your favorite starter?
So this is a difficult one. Well, not too difficult because there's really two choices. You're either going with Jamar Chase or you're going with Christian McCaffrey. The bias in me wants to take CMC, and I'm going to go with CMC just because you have the running back aspect to it. But you really can't go wrong with him or Jamar Chase. McCaffrey's expected to see an insanely high volume. I mean, his numbers when he got to the Niners were he put up a season's worth of numbers in about 9 games. So imagine what he can do with a full 16 games, Kyle Shanahan's offense. He's still got Trent Williams and George Kittle blocking for him. And I'd expect a much improved Deebo Samuel season and a breakout Brandon Ayuk year just to, take more pressure off of him. So if McCaffrey, and he finally, for the first time in a couple of years, proved he can stay on the field again. So if he's healthy, I mean, he could be the fantasy MVP again.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And before you do go here, Jason, we've got our next guest coming on soon, Mr. Mike Kulz, who's doing our podcast. But before we get him on here, just give us your favorite sleeper. Who's your favorite sleeper of the season for fantasy football?
Calvin Ridley of the Jags. Everyone forgets that he's back. He's off a suspension. He's healthy. And he's got Trevor Lawrence throwing him the rock and Doug Peterson coaching him. I love him as a wide receiver one, and people are going to forget. You could probably get him in the 3rd or 4th round, and he's going to probably give you either late first or very high second round value this season.
Absolutely. And please do go follow my guy here. I'm going to take this away. There we go. So we can see that. Follow my guy over this yonder. There we go. That one. Follow him on Twitter if you can. If you have Twitter, go follow him there. Jason, thank you for coming out and talking with fantasy football with me, man. But we're going to move on here to Mike Kulz. You have a good day, and we will talk to you soon, buddy.
Hey, you too, Keith.
All right. Bye. All right. Our next guy bringing on here, Mr. Kulz. We're going to call him Kulz.
What's going on?
Kulzicki,
right. Yeah.
Kulzicki.
Yep.
I was so close. Mike, how are you, man? You
Good.
doing well?
How are you doing? I got Ryan as well on. Can we get both of us?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
Let's bring him
do
on.
it.
This is our co-host.
Hey,
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Ryan? How's it going, man?
doing good. It's a fantasy trucker.
Perfect. Yeah, you guys need to tune in. So these guys, obviously, these are the co-hosts here for our fantasy football pod. Fantasy Trucker here. You guys take the show on the road, going to a lot of cool places, seeing a lot of good sights, man. I'm envious because I'm, got the family, so I'm all kind of bogged down here. But you guys get to go live the life, man. Where have you been so far? I think you were in Philly, weren't you?
Yeah. We've been to Philly. We've been to Cincinnati.
Pittsburgh.
Charlotte, Pittsburgh, a little bit. We're right outside New York City as well, so we've been having a lot of fun trying to get some really good content for you guys, and just enjoying being on the road.
I'm pretty sure they'll be knocking on the door to, the media room or whatever, trying to get those inside scoops for us. So we're looking forward to that. But Mike, talk to me a little bit about, podcasting. I know, have you done a podcast before? Or is this your first one?
First time. Ryan and I have talked about it for a while, and we finally just, jumped in, saw the opportunity you guys put in front of us, and just kind of dove right in. Ryan's got a little bit of background with producing, so that's helped out a lot. His dad produces music, so he grew up around that. I'll let him talk about that, but that's been a huge help. I mean, just making it sound good and kind of taking that learning curve away.
Yeah. And he did the intro music for you guys. Your dad did, right, Ryan?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he's a guitar player, been playing for like 50 years. He's insane skill set. So he really has fun with it anytime I ask him to do any sort of guitar playing for my endeavors. So it was a nice treat being able to get him to do that.
Nice. All right, so let me talk to you guys about fantasy football now, kind of bring it back a little bit. Kulz, tell me a little bit about your experience and background here with fantasy football. How long have you been playing? Who's your favorite team?
Yeah, I've been playing for, Ryan and I were talking about this the other day, maybe 15 to 17 years, I think is what we came up with.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, favorite team. To be honest, I'm more loyal to my players. I'm an LSU guy, so I'm a huge LSU NFL player guy. So I'm loyal to them, and I'm loyal to my fantasy teams. I mean, I like to take a lot of pride in my players, and finding every competitive advantage that exists and just taking full advantage of it. I don't know. Sports has always been a passion of mine. Statistics, math comes pretty easy to me. So you pair the two together, and it's a pretty dangerous combo for me.
Yeah. And loyal to my bankroll, as Michael Fiddle always says, and I agree there. You got to be loyal to your bankroll. And Ryan, tell me a little bit about your fantasy journey, man. How long have you been playing? What's your story?
Yeah, it's just about maybe 15, 16 years, like Mike said. I've been a commissioner of a league for probably 12 of those years. Just recently transitioned to a Dynasty league, which has been a lot of fun. And man, I fell in love with it early on, and I've just kind of over the last 5 years been studying year round, and really made it a point to learn as much as I can about every player on every team, and just completely dive in head first.
Yeah, I love it, man. So you guys are gonna be bringing the knowledge. I know you guys are working right now, bringing out episodes about your QB dynasty ranks, I believe. And is that going to keep rolling into other positions? What's your plan here going forward the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, we're doing so our QB rankings is 3 episodes. Then we're going to do running backs, which will be 3. That'll take a week. Same with wide receivers, and then tight ends, I think, is 2 episodes. And then we're going to jump in and do some best ball drafts. Underdog's got that best ball mania. So I think on Fridays we're planning on doing a best ball Friday that kind of each week walks you through how we draft live, how our brain works, and communicate with each other, and just work through that live draft board. And then also just kind of update on current events, what's going on in the training camp. But, as training camp happens and more hype comes out and kind of news shifts, injuries, you're going to be able to see us draft live as that progresses. So, rankings change as you get closer to redraft season, but that's going to be really fun and cool. We'll add some segments in there as well. Talk sleepers, busts, just kind of go from A to Z and, provide as much insight and as much content as we can.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. I've listened to a few, the first couple episodes. It's really good stuff. So everyone go out there and listen to it, man.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely. And you guys have a pretty exciting guest coming on here in like about a week or so, right? It's coming up here pretty fast.
Yeah, Boggs. So that'll be fun. We're gonna, I just want to tease that. We don't know exactly what we're gonna talk about with him yet, but the podcasts I've listened to with him on, he's just he provides such good insight. He knows the space well, and is one of the best guys to talk to. So we're excited about that.
Absolutely. Getting some love over here from our wagering division guy, Doug. Says great first couple pods there. So some love for you guys.
Appreciate it, Doug.
Absolutely, man. And Ryan, I don't think I ever got from you, man. Who's your team? Who's your NFL team?
Oh, Chicago Bears, bear down. The Chicago guy. Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Chicago. Brian's got the accent. He's got the Chicago bias. He's gonna
got the accent there.
He's gonna live and die with the Bears. I will say he's always been very loyal to Chicago sports, but you'll be hearing me poking at him on the pod and.
He loves to push my buttons.
I grew up in Chicago, and I'm a very loyal Cubs and Blackhawks fan. But going to LSU and just like being around all those guys, I like to follow
good football for once.
I like to follow them around the league. But yeah.
Yeah, and I feel you, man. Actually, I lived in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And I'm a Chicago guy too, obviously, if you guys don't know. But I lived in Tuscaloosa, Alabama for a while. My wife went to University of Alabama for her grad school, and it's just a different level, man. Different atmosphere. Every Saturday was like, tailgating to the nth degree. I'm like just going from place to place, eating different meats. I'm like, this is the life, man. Like it's a freaking huge party. The whole town's involved. So hopefully you get some of that stuff in your pod there. You get to go on the road and walk around some places like that as well. So
yeah, we're gonna do our best to cover some ground, and I know the South pretty well living down there. I lived in Houston for 3 years, so a little bit of a Texans fan. Got to see a lot of J.J. Watt and Hopkins on some good teams down there. So I wouldn't be surprised if we end up in Houston at a game or two.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's get to some more fantasy stuff here. I guess Ryan, let me pick your brain here first here.
Yeah.
So first round, you can't get Justin Jefferson. He's not allowed here. Who's your ideal starting player in the first round? Choice of anybody.
Yeah, choice of anybody. It's been tough. I love the running backs, but as of the last couple seasons. It's been a trend that the running backs have just kind of been losing value, and if you draft them in the first round, they either get injured and stuff. So I'm sticking with wide receiver, and my pick is Cooper Kupp. I think Cooper Kupp coming back off this injury, there's not much competition in the target for the Rams offense here, and I think he's just going to get peppered and have a great season. So I'm picking Cooper Kupp if I get the chance to.
He's also got that double hard consonant, Keith Cork, Cooper Kupp. So I might have to go with you on that one. So the KC, I don't know. All right. What are you going to say, Mike? Yeah,
I want to add some insight into that pick by Ryan. He likes to. He's found Cooper Kupp at maybe his rookie season. So
I picked him up off the waiver wire.
There's a little love there.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where he's just he's a Kupp guy. I'll give him that. That's a huge score for him.
Who's your choice, Mike?
If it's not Jamar Chase, it's Bijan. I mean, I just think Bijan has such an incredible skill set. I mean, I think he's the best running back prospect since Saquon, and he has the talent and potentially the right system to be, put up LaDainian Tomlinson type numbers, put up AP type numbers, which I think it was LT that had like 2,300 total yards and 31 touchdowns one year. Like you break fantasy at that point when you put up those kind of numbers. And I think Bijan has that skill set. So I'm excited to see him and what he does in the NFL.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's excited to see what happens to him on the next level here. All right, guys. So same kind of question here, Ryan. Who's your sleeper for this season. It looks like Ryan might be on mute, but if you can unmute yourself, if not, that's okay. We'll go. Oh, there he is. Okay.
Sleeper.
Yeah,
So
all
who's your
good.
sleeper for the season?
My sleeper, I was kind of toying with a few different names here. I like to dive in with Paris Campbell, the Giants wide receiver. That whole wide receiver group is up for grabs, and Paris Campbell's been getting a lot of praise in this offseason, and someone's got to be catching balls for Daniel Jones other than their tight end. I can't think of his name right now. I'm blanking. Darren Waller. Yeah, Darren Waller. But yeah, I think Paris Campbell's going to have a good season, and I mean you're going to be able to draft him very late in drafts.
Absolutely. And Mike, what about you, man?
Yeah. So I kind of want to just parlay off of what Jason talked about with Purdy. I have this theory about Trey Lance, and it needs to be. The world needs to know about it.
Okay, all right.
So I think that Trey Lance got injured, after 1 or 2 games as a starter. Jimmy G comes in. He has a lot of success with those weapons, as Jimmy G does. And then he goes down late in the season with a Niners team that was just absolutely humming. Like, you had all the weapons. You have Christian McCaffrey at this point, and the defense was by far the best in the league. So then insert third option Brock Purdy, and I think a lot of that talk of him winning the job and being the number 1 starter, I think a lot of that was to pump confidence into him heading into a off-season playoff, heading up into a playoff Super Bowl run. So I'm not sold that he's their guy if he's healthy week 1. I think that Trey Lance has an opportunity here with his skill set to go and practice with the ones in camp and remind management why he was drafted number 3 overall and ultimately win that job, and then just not look back. I mean, if you have those weapons, like we've seen, it doesn't take a lot. It takes good decision making and really just putting the ball in their hands. But if Lance has that extra level with his legs and that ability to get them to just be one of the best offenses in the league, be the best team in the league that Jimmy G can never do, then I think it's his offense. But anyways, I could be wrong, obviously, and you could see Purdy there week 1.
Hey,
but if my theory checks out, I think Lance is going to be an outstanding quarterback. So
that's the thing with sleepers. You never know. You take a shot, and if you hit, you hit, and it's great. If you don't hit, then it doesn't sink you because you're taking them late anyways. So it is what it is, man. High risk, high reward. That's what we like to see. So
yeah, so I think some of that will play out during camp, and you'll have a better idea around draft season. But if we're talking skill player, I like Elijah Moore. I think has a refresh, a restart. I think you're going to see Deshaun Watson, who's going to be, knocked off some of that rust with some game time, and then has a full off season, and a guy who's looking for a career rebirth with a ton of talent. So I like Elijah Moore.
Absolutely. Well, again, guys, if you don't follow the Fantasy Pod, go follow it. These guys are doing fantastic work. Go follow Kulz on Twitter. That's his Twitter right there. He's always tweeting about the show. Ryan is right there, down there somewhere, as you guys can see. Go follow him on Twitter as well. He'll be retweeting that content. But guys, appreciate you guys coming out and talking about the pod, talking about fantasy football with me. I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more of you guys via audio. Maybe I'll come on the show sometime and just
we'd love to have you.
Talk some how bad the Bears are. I don't know. They'll be good this year. I've got some hope, man. I got some hope. I think
I do too, man. I do too. Yeah.
It's the first year in 3 years I've had a little bit of hope. So we'll see how it goes. So.
Yeah, you know how the hope dies quickly in Chicago over the last decades. So we'll see what happens.
At least we don't have to deal with Aaron Rodgers anymore. So we can all.
Oh man, this NFC North is going to be great. I can't wait to see how this shakes out.
It's up for grabs. It really is up for grabs. Keith, thanks so much for having us on. We're excited to keep pumping stuff out, and thanks again for the opportunity. Would love to have you on. We're going to keep busting our ass to bring out the best content we can.
Absolutely. You guys are crushing it, man. Keep doing your thing. We will talk to you guys soon. All right. Let's go ahead and bring on our next guest here, who is going to be Brian Sade. I'm going to call it Sade. It's probably Shade, but it sounds a little better.
It is Shade.
Right? It's Shade, yeah. I knew it was. Brian, and what I've been missing here is kind of talking about people's experience with Sports Ethos. Brian is brand new to Sports Ethos, has not contributed, I don't think, anywhere before, right, for fantasy football. Is that correct? Okay.
I have not.
Right.
I thought about basketball. I kind of learned about Sports Ethos through basketball. Loved the pods in basketball, and then thought about doing basketball. It didn't work with schedule, but I think football definitely works with schedule. And I've been doing fantasies, I think, since 2004. I started when I was 9. So
It's a little young,
I did a family league. I definitely got abused in that league until I actually knew what was going on.
Sure.
But I've been doing it for a while, and I'm looking forward to seeing how my skill set, which is a lot of data, can help out the team.
Yeah, and I definitely want to talk, about one of my favorite projects here in a bit. But I think just to kind of get us started here, tell us a little bit about, you've been playing since you were 9, but you're a Philadelphia guy, right? So you're an Eagles fan, is that correct?
Yep. So I'm sorry to Jason that we beat you. I don't think it would have been close if Purdy wasn't hurt, but I'm sure you will disagree with me.
Yeah, we'll have to get you guys on to debate that topic at some point.
I was born near Philly, grew up in Maryland, still a Philly fan through and through. Loved watching them. Think they have a pretty darn solid team moving forward with a lot of good fantasy players.
Yeah.
So I guess just, do you want to talk about pieces now?
Yeah, we can definitely talk about the project here. I want to talk about, though, quickly, because it's been interesting to me, this salary cap auction Dynasty league that we're in. That's just hard to wrap my mind around. I know it's not the purpose of this pod, but I just want people out there to know, if they're going to purchase the draft guide, that the people that are in doing this draft guide are doing insane things. So this is we had an auction draft where we had to obviously put money on people. We had a starting salary of, I think it was 500, was it? I think it was.
Yep, 500.
Yeah. And we had an auction there, and then that salary is going to be their salary for the next 3 years. And people are going crazy, man, like dropping over 100, 121 bucks, I think it was, on Anthony Richardson, and like 200 on Justin Herbert. Like, people are we're just spending like mad. I think you and I were both kind of a little bit more conservative with our spending, right? What was your strategy going into that? Let me pick your brain there. It's gone now, so you don't have to worry about me.
I mean, I think it was a little bit just to wait and see what other people did. It's IDP as well, so individual defensive players. I've done it before in just a regular like snake draft. I've never done auction. So I think that was definitely a learning curve, but my mindset was wait, sit back and watch what people do. I like to zig when people zag. I think people spent a lot on quarterbacks. So I ended up with Jordan Love. I have no clue how I feel about him. Could be good. He's young, potential. I tried to, again, just find value where I could. I think in Dynasty, if you're going to spend money, spend it on receiver. They have longer shelf lives than running backs do. I think you'll get more bang for your buck there.
See, yes, I knew we clicked on something, because this is where I went with it too, because I was looking at kind of like the length of their careers, and so like receivers, I knew I was going to try to spend up on. I kind of spent around the board, though. I didn't like really spend up on anybody. I think Amari Cooper is like the most expensive player at $50, so it is what it is. But also defensive linemen have really long careers, so I was like, okay, I'll find a nice young defensive lineman, and then we'll go from there. But
I did notice with the defensive players, this could have just been our league, but like there are a lot of cheap ones that ended up having value at the end. I lucked into a few of that. I don't think many people in that league, even from our group chat, really understood the IDP. So we all saw people we recognized from our normal 12 teams that we definitely overspent on.
I was trying. I mean, I don't know a lot of IDPs, but we're actually going to have that in our draft guide. So that's a good selling point here. If you guys want to get the draft guide, have IDPs in your league. We're working on that now. Actually, Arnold just did our defensive rankings, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But we are going to have IDPs ranked for you guys. I know Sean's working on that, as well as Arnold. So I'm very excited for that to happen. Wish I would have had it for this draft, but let's talk about what you worked on, man, which is, I think I just want to go, well, let's talk about the one I'm not as excited about. I'm still very excited about it. But you did our wide receiver rankings. How is that process? And like, did you find yourself, I know we kind of got together and did like the top 150 total rankings for our cheat sheet a little while ago, and we kind of felt like we were splitting hairs for a while there. Like, did you just crush it all in one go, or did you have to take a step away? Like, how did that go for you, man?
I mean, I definitely took a step away, and then once, like, I probably did it in 2-3 days, just looked at it, and then once we were close to putting it out, I re-looked at it with DeAndre Hopkins news, etc., changed some things around, and then I noticed I felt differently about a lot of the people. Tried not to make your life too difficult by switching a lot. I think the main thing I noticed was, again, I mean, you'll hear this from a lot of people, the tier-based is huge. Yeah. And I think the combination of a safe and an upside play, super useful. So, I don't know, like a Tyler Lockett versus a Christian Watson, they may be going similarly, like they may be similarly placed in drafts, but Tyler Lockett, you kind of know what you're going to get. You're going to get a wide receiver 2. Christian Watson, who knows, but he's very exciting. He could win you some weeks. He could lose you some weeks. And I just think balancing those safe and upside was a difficult part. Mm-hmm. I tried to rank it as like total points at the end of the season. That can be useful, but you also have a lot of rookies that kind of open up and perform very well at the end of the season. Yeah. So I think that's the difficult part of just strictly rankings. The tiers helps, and then kind of combining the upside and safe plays is, I think, the way to go.
Yeah, there's variance there. And I think, again, just going to talk up our draft guide here because we've just done such an incredible job on it. But one of the things we're planning to do with our cheat sheet here, which is the top 150 so far, we might extend that to top 200, 250, somewhere in that range. But one thing we are going to do is we're going to add in some of those symbols to tell you guys, who's a high ceiling play, who's a safe floor play, give you a little bit more context. Because I think, one of the advantages we have at SportsEthos over some of the other more established brands is that we can really iterate on this stuff and make it better. And we know from, since we play fantasy, we know what we want to see in these tools, and we're just going to make them that way. We have nobody above us telling us we can't. So we're the rebels on the block. We are the best kept secret in fantasy football. Go get the draft guide. It's in the chat there. But let's talk about the real meat of the pie here that I want to talk to you about, which is the offensive ID cards. And I was a little annoying, I guess, about this with John. I know. Actually, you know what? Let me bring him on here. I've actually got my guy here. I'm gonna go ahead and bring him on. There's the guy here, looking haggard, coming from his rugby match.
I got kicked out.
You got kicked out? Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So I got to come early.
He's in a good mood. But I know it's kind of annoying with John and then Brian as well, with like kind of having a vision about like what I wanted with this thing. And John did an article, which I read later, and I felt like it also covered the basis of what I was trying to cover as well. But I kind of wanted more of a visual tool. So you did these things which I call the offensive ID cards, where we talk about, kind of like breaking down how much a team rushes, how much they pass, but not just that, but, how much they run RPO, all that kind of thing. So just talk to me a little bit about, what you were looking for there, how you felt about compiling all that data. Did any trends kind of, jump out at you while you were doing
that? I mean, I think for me, it was just, for my day job, you could say, I deal with a bunch of data. So I tried to just find a good data set, Pro Football Reference. You can find a bunch of good data there. And I just tried to look at how people looked compared to averages. So like Ravens, very run heavy compared to other teams. We saw like a 52% rush ratio versus average is about 45. And then, kind of dig more into context. Greg Roman's no longer there. We got Todd Monken coming in. How is that going to change? So basically I pulled a bunch of 2022 data, and then I dug into, this is more the narrative side, which I think John probably touched more on. Mm-hmm. It's just, what changes? How do we expect things to change? Like with the Ravens, Todd Monken, big into passing. Most likely we're going to have a closer to average pass to run ratio. What does that mean for the Ravens? Lamar's going to pass some more. Mark Andrews, always pretty well valued. how else can you find value? You got a bunch of receivers. Nobody knows who's going to be the next guy. Take a flyer. Even if it's a stack, you get Lamar, you missed out on Mark Andrews, take a flyer on one of the Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham, Rashad Bateman. Hopefully one of them hits. Maybe you get a wide receiver 2 or 3 out of it. That's going to be good value.
That's one of the things they'll be doing more, right? 3, 4 wide receiver sets, right? Instead of the traditional 2. Yeah. What offense do you think is going to have the biggest shift in pass rate?
I mean, I do think Baltimore, that's kind of the big one.
Yeah.
I think who else I can dig through it.
So they're going to unleash my guy Lamar over there is what I'm hearing. That's kind of the rumors over there, and that's what we're kind of going with there. Is that correct?
It'll be the Madden offense, right? Shotgun, 3 wide receivers to the right, 1 to the left.
I love it.
And I mean, I even think, again, Baltimore is pretty easy for me. They're 7%, 11 personnel. 11 personnel is 1 tight end, 1 running back. Average for the NFL is 54%. So you're going to see that shift a lot to having 3 wide receivers. Right? Yeah, they ran a lot. And, I mean, they have 2 great tight ends. They have Isaiah Likely and Andrews. I just think that's where you're going to see the most change. I also think Colts stand out. You now have a rushing quarterback. You get the Eagles' old offensive coordinator calling plays there. It's going to be RPO heavy. His offense worked very well with Jalen Hurts. It'll be interesting to see what he does with Anthony Richardson. I think there's room for Anthony Richardson to do a lot. I think your skill players, you're going to probably be looking at how the skill players did in Jalen Hurts' first probably 16 games. They weren't the best, but people would pop every once in a while.
But I love this because this is what I'm trying to get everybody in this team to do. And I think, again, if you are out there, Marcel's, do not trash my mock drafts. There you go. This one's for you, Marcel's. But I think, if we're talking about what I'm trying to get everyone on the team to do, I'm just trying to get everybody to kind of think about, how do we project this stuff accurately, without just, we're doing it by hand, but still we can make smart decisions based on what we see with, like you said, personnel shifts. Not even just in the team, but also with the offensive coordinators, which I know, Marcel's wrote a piece about that as well, or has written about that a lot in the team pages as well. So I think this is really, really good stuff, and I'm really excited. It's not up on the site yet, guys, but if you do have a subscription, it will be up there sometime within the next few days. I'm hoping here. I'm just kind of a little backed up here, but we'll get that stuff up there. But Brian, only a few more minutes here, man. I do want to hit you with the same questions I've been hitting everyone else with. So first round, no Justin Jefferson, got to take him out. Any choice of anybody else? Who you start your team with, your fantasy football team?
I like Eckler. I think he's got a good chance to carry a heavy workload again. He's not going to come back next year. They restructured the contract to make him here for this 1 year. They have no need to not feed him the ball. If he gets injured, he gets injured, but they're going to give him a lot.
And they don't really have an RB2 either, right?
Exactly. And he wants to perform well because he wants more money. He already almost tried to hold out. So I just think it's a good balance of he's already proven it. He has the talent, and he's got opportunity to take a huge workload. And
he cares about fantasy.
He does.
He might have a few fantasy teams with himself on it. That'd be pretty cool. That'd be balling.
He'd probably get suspended, but yeah.
That's true. That's true. Speaking of which, those Colts players recently. But anyways, yeah. So the other question here is, who's your favorite sleeper for the season? Anybody, totally open. Anybody in the entire field. Favorite sleeper.
Lions wide receiver.
No. I think I'm going to end up with Daniel Jones in a lot of leagues. I think he's a good running quarterback. I think that's overlooked a lot with him.
Yeah.
He's improved in passing. He has he has a head coach that helped Josh Allen improve a bunch. I just think where you get him at the end of all the QB1s, his value's going to be there. He'll probably end around QB 10. You can fill out the rest of your flex, wide receiver, running back, tight end positions before, and just leave it up to Daniel Jones to kind of hold down the fort. And I think he'll be very steady with the rushing, and he'll provide some solid weeks with an improved wide receiver core and adding Darren Waller.
Yeah, your boy.
I like it.
All
all right.
Can I jump in? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's say, what division, if you could target like any division to stack players in, what would you pick?
I mean, I think that AFC West is just there's so many good offenses in there. I think there's going to be a bunch. You got Chargers, Chiefs, Raiders, and Broncos. Like, there's great quarterbacks, depending on how you feel about Russell Wilson. And I just think it's going to be a lot of high-scoring games, and that's 6 of your 17 games right there are going to be pretty high-scoring.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Brian, it's been fantastic to have you on, man. Hope we can do this again sometime. I'm going to go ahead and take this away so people can see your Twitter. Go follow my guy on Twitter here. He's got a few followers. He just started this one for us at SportsEthos, so it's a brand new account. So don't be discouraged by the few dozen followers there, Brian. We're going to get you up to 3 million before the season's over. No, probably not, but we will get you a few more. Go follow my guy there. He's got very, very awesome insights. I love the stuff he's doing for us, and we'll have you on again, man. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Appreciate the time.
Absolutely. All right. So our next guy here, we're going to bring on. Looks like he's taking a deep breath and getting ready. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. There he is.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good, man. Our guy, Sean Ryder. How are you, Sean?
Doing good. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to talk with you guys for a little bit.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I think that's the Seahawks in the background. So I don't think you'd have to ask you your favorite team, right?
Yeah, I got to keep my guys with me.
You're like a Supersonics fan, too.
Is that from the Sherman pick?
Oh.
This one, I don't know specifically. I just pulled this up just to have a little bit of team spirit behind me, just so I could feel a little bit of support.
There you go.
But what was that you had asked, Keith?
Oh, no, I was asking, you're like one of those Supersonics fans too, right? I think
I definitely will be when they come back.
Right.
I wasn't super into basketball back then yet. So now I've picked up the Celtics as my team. But as soon as the Sonics are back, those are my guys.
I got Matthew Washington here saying "Go Birds," but not those birds. Oh boy, okay, we'll take that away. All right, Sean. So man, excited to talk to you. You've done a lot of work with our wide receiver report. But before we get started, obviously we know you're a Seahawks fan. Let's just go ahead and just knock this out of the way. First round, you can have your choice of anybody in the whole field. Who you go? No, Justin Jefferson. Who are you going with?
Yeah, I hate to go a little bit chalk here, but I think it is McCaffrey for me. I think he has to be the guy. That offense just projects to be really good. We've seen it over the years. Obviously, there's like the health risks and those factors that you have to account in. But like week in and week out, every time that guy takes the field, he's going to be a baller, and he's going to really like show you why he is maybe the best, or at the very least one of the best running backs in the league. I think he deserves that pick.
Nothing wrong with chalk.
You care who's QB though? Trey Lance or Purdy?
And that'll spoil a little bit of part of when we get to the sleeper segment. But I really don't care too much about who the quarterback is in the Shanahan offense. I just don't think it really matters. Like Mike was saying earlier, whether it is Purdy going through every week, or if it is Trey Lance, or even if it's Sam Darnold in there, I don't think it impacts the overall offense very much. I think we've seen that Shanahan can make that machine work real fast.
I love this. This is a good one. This is actually one of our baseball guru here, Mr. Joel Rico, saying it's a handsome contest here. I don't know. I think I'm winning this one though, so I don't know, guys. I'm sorry. No,
you're looking good.
Looking too good. All right, so sleepers. You said we were doing something with sleepers there with the 49ers. So who's your sleeper? Let's just get out of the bag here.
Yeah. So not to bury the lead even further, but if I could tell you that there is a potential wide receiver one for a last year top 5 offense who's available in the 6th round, I think you're gonna love to hop all over that, and that's why I got to pick Brandon Ayuk for my favorite sleeper. I think that with the Debo situation, obviously he's very talented, but I think that that offense wants to go away, and we saw this last year as well. They want to go away from giving him those running back touches. And that's why they now have McCaffrey. They still got Elijah Mitchell down there as well. And so I think when you are looking at it from just a receiving perspective there as well, I feel like Ayuk is the guy to own there as far as the receivers go. I think it's a little bit out of proportion how much earlier Debo is going in drafts than Ayuk is. I think that their finish, assuming health, of course, will be very close to each other, and I'm really not going to be surprised at all if Ayuk beats him out.
And Ayuk's healthy too, right? Kittle
Yeah.
could go down. Debo could, McCaffrey, right?
Exactly.
If one of those guys go down, he gets a massive bump.
Exactly. And yeah, and he's shown before that he's capable of handling that bigger load there.
I love it, man. Just smart people talking some fantasy football. And I love that you brought it to the wide receivers, obviously, so that brings us perfectly into our next point here, which is the wide receiver report, which you did a lot of work on. And I appreciate you for all that work you've done, man. But, you've looked at these guys up and down. I mean, obviously, we've already got your sleeper there. But, any takeaways? I mean, when we're looking at wide receivers, obviously, there's some variance there. We want to have some touchdown scoring because of the way the scoring in fantasy football works. Gives many points for the, yards for wide receivers. So, it just makes running backs a little bit more valuable, and there's also some more scarcity there. But outside of those kind of general takeaways, I mean, is there anything this season specifically you're seeing in the wide receiver field that's kind of making you go, "Oh, I need to take a wide receiver early. I need to take this guy early. I need to take this guy late." What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, I think you guys touched on it a little bit earlier, but it really is like this year, and you've seen it all over all the mock drafts or any of your underdog fantasy drafts of just everybody wants to hammer wide receiver early. A lot of those running backs are falling too far. I think wide receiver it's always really nice to have, and especially in like dynasty leagues as well. They do have that longer shelf life and they should be valued higher there, I believe. But I honestly, like, not to counter my own work here, but I almost prefer going some of the running backs earlier, like back to me saying I like Christian McCaffrey at the 2. It's honestly because I love so many of the wide receivers that are going to be available when the draft comes back to you on that 2-3 turn. I think there's a lot of really good guys that you can pick up there. Whether that's like just to throw a couple names out there, like a Jalen Waddle, or even if Devontae Smith is still available there. I love those guys as a wide receiver 1 on my fantasy team, especially if I get to pair them with Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey, or one of those types of guys.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Seahawks related too. I'm a big thing. I don't like drafting wide receivers with crappy QBs. And so like last year, DK is one of my favorite, but I stayed away from DK and Lockett because I didn't think Geno could throw. So what team do you think would have the best chance to where their QB upgrades and then raises the ceiling on their wide receivers in similar way that Geno did last year?
Yeah. So I actually did a similar thing, even as a like a biased guy. I kind of let other people take DK. I still like Lockett there. I think that Seahawks fans know just from watching him that Lockett is kind of that guy who's always able to produce. He has had Russell Wilson the whole career aside from last year, right? But that guy, just the way that he plays it's kind of just he makes your quarterback's life so much easier. To answer your question, I think that while I do want to be very cautious because it's a guy that I'm not super high on, I never really have been. When you look at like the New Orleans Saints, Chris Olave is a big riser for me, and I think that the Derek Carr's game is going to pair pretty well with him.
I love Olave. Yeah, he'd be my number 1 like level jumper.
Yeah, I like him a lot this year. I think a lot of people like him, and sometimes he is going a little bit too high that I feel like I don't get to get him too often because I do like some of those other guys in there, but. I love Olave this year, and especially in Dynasty, if you can grab him up, I think he's a really talented player and going to be a good time.
Yeah, because Carr threw 4,800 yards 2 years ago, right? So, you should be able to do 43, 4,400. Mike Thomas isn't reliable. Like, I see Olave, 1,300 yards, maybe 8 TDs.
I'd love to see it. And we know that Derek Carr does like to toss that deep ball, too, and I think Olave's got the skill set to reel it in, and then that just means he's delivering a week winner every once in a while, or he's really dropping close to 30 fantasy points. I think that's very much in the realm of possibilities there for him.
Yeah. And I know Sean and a couple of other contributors have mentioned best ball so far, and I do want to go ahead and just plug this in here and let people know we do have best ball content already available in our draft guide with plans to add some more. So if you guys do have a best ball draft coming up, that'd be a good reason to snag it. Again, we do have all those team pages up and a lot of the wide receiver report stuff that we're talking about as well, which is going to give you the edge over some other people. So do find that draft guide for us. I'm going to go ahead and plug it again here in the chat. We're going to do the giveaway in a minute as well, but go ahead and get that. So any other kind of observations you have? It doesn't have to be wide receiver related, but just kind of fantasy football related. Obviously, this season, just looking at all this data kind of closely, looking at it really early? Is that something you've done in the past, or do you usually kind of wait until we're a little closer to the season?
I mean, I'm just like as a really big like NFL in general fan, not necessarily just from the fantasy standpoint. I always keep a really close eye on just everything that's going on around the league. And I think that a really big tip to give to everybody is to pay attention during that off season and look at all the, especially like coaching staff changes, things like that, or whether that's, a different OC or even like a different DC can completely change the landscape of a team and what they want to do. Obviously, the head coaching changes are huge. And when you do have a history to work with on other teams, that helps a lot. But I think that really, like, you got to remember when you're looking at fantasy assets that the coaches and the franchise, they don't care about your fantasy team. And we all know that. Like, the players don't care about your fantasy team, except for Austin Eckler, right? But it really is just when you look at a team and their makeup and figure out how are they going to play winning football? Like, what is their brand of football? How are they going to play? How does that, like, which options fantasy wise from that team are going to prosper if they're able to play the way that they want to play every week?
So which coach or OC think will make the biggest difference? Like how Dayball was with the Giants last year.
I do agree that I think Baltimore is going to be a huge one with Monken in there. I'm trying to think of another example there. But I do really like that Baltimore offense. I love getting the Andrews and Lamar stack. I think Mark Andrews is probably my most drafted player right now as far as any of those like premier, like I've never really loved going super premier tight end just because of the opportunity cost there. And while it's nice to not have to worry about it later on in the draft, because a lot of the time it's a whole bunch of duds after the top 2-3 guys. I think Mark Andrews, to me, it really stands to make a breakout. I mean, he's already broken out. He's a star, but
but he could
have a really, really good year, I think.
Worst case, tight end 3, right?
That's what I would think, right? I think he could be number 1 too. I think he could.
Yeah, I'm a big tight end guy. My fantasy tombstone would say tight ends and blocks.
I love it.
You're a big tight end guy. So, all right, let me be a little selfish here and jack this conversation. No confidence in my Bears here. DJ Moore is there. He's got a legit number 1 now. No love for my wide receivers there. Nobody's got any love for them. Are people sleeping on my Bears?
Well, I will say that I did, not to toot my own horn, but I did have the Bears as the worst team in the league last year. I have an audio recording of it. I can prove it.
You got receipts?
That's almost as good as calling the winner.
I can check them. But I mean, that just means that the only way to go is up, right? I think that DJ Moore, as far as a fantasy asset, I'm a little bit hesitant just because when you do have those QBs with the high rushing upside, that a lot of the time when you're looking for those big third down conversions or like, whenever the passing plays don't work out, he is going to be looking to run. He's going to be looking to run, and it does hurt your targets. And while DJ Moore, I love the player, really fun guy. I've had shares of him a lot of years, but I just am not sure that he's going to be able to really put up like true wide receiver one numbers. I'm not sure if the ADP reflects that or not, but I do like DJ Moore. I'm just not sure if I'm sold as much as usually somebody else in drafts are.
Yeah, I think he could make that Lamar leap, right? Like in Hurts made, right? Mm-hmm. Lamar played like 8 games, couldn't throw, came in the next season through 35 touchdowns.
Right. Yeah, it does definitely just take the big, like, just one season to really figure it out. And especially if you're able to go through the off seasons healthy and all that. And I do really like Justin Fields this year for sure, especially from a fantasy perspective. I think that'll be a really good. Where
do you have him? Your QB what?
I feel like he's probably hovering around Herbert, kind of in that area. I kind of like taking him over Herbert almost just because of that rushing upside. So that's probably like 5, 6, somewhere in there.
That's about right. Yeah. And he could finish QB1. Like,
it's possible. It's possible.
My Justin Fields MVP ticket is loving that talk there. So
that's
you have that?
No, I don't. I did not. I'm not that delusional. But, I mean, if it happens, I'd be super pumped. But there's always a chance for anything to happen. But
right.
Not going to bank on that, guys. It is giveaway time, by the way. If you see that tweet or that message at the bottom there, I just pinned. go to our Twitter there, which is at Ethos Fantasy FB, and retweet the tweet that is there. Make sure that you're liking the page, and you have to retweet it before the show's over. You got about an hour here, so I will go ahead and remind you guys from time to time, but that's our giveaway. Sean, again, just love your work, man. We've got at least a half dozen wide receiver articles from you out there, and you're doing some Dynasty content for us now as well. So I appreciate you, jumping in on all that. As I said before, you're doing the IDPs. We could have talked about that as well, but unfortunately, our time here is coming to an end. So it'll have to wait till next time, my friend.
Right. I'm ready for it.
John, one last rookie wide receiver, which if anyone's going to pop, who?
In the rookie year, I mean, I like
Bias.
Smith and Jigba. I don't know if he's going to flash necessarily immediately. I think that the two guys that I'm looking at are Addison and Johnston. I feel like Addison the role is right there for him to be the wide receiver 2 for that team. He's going to have to fight it out with, KJ Osborne, I think, is a good player. So he'll definitely be on the field as well. But I do like the opportunity for Addison there. And then with Johnston, I'm not he's one of the guys that I could see potentially busting from this draft. But at the same time, the injury replacement upside on that team is so huge. Like the last time Williams Keenan Allen, he had a really injury-plagued start of his career, and then he was good for his kind of Iron Man for a little while. But now looking at last year, it's like Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. One of those guys is hurt pretty much all the time. So I think Johnston has a really good opportunity to step up there.
Absolutely, man. Well, I appreciate you again coming on, Sean, and we will definitely talk to you again, my friend. Hopefully we'll get you on the pod and everything like that. So just keep plugging away, and love it, man. So we'll talk to you later.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Cheers. And our next guy we're going to bring on here, if you guys are just joining, we'll give him another second or two here because we're going to go ahead and just say it's giveaway time. The tweet is out there. It's live. Make sure you guys go retweet it. It is our giveaway tweet. If you retweet that before the show is over, you have a chance. You get entered for a chance to win access to the draft guide. And I'm telling you guys, there's at least I don't know, hundreds of hours of work probably putting this thing at this point because we've got a dozen contributors here. We've also got our wagering division people contributing here. I myself am putting in really, really late hours to get the stuff formatted and up on the site and looking pretty for you guys. So it is just a massive effort, and I just really want to go ahead and emphasize that this is no joke. It is really competitive with all the other products that are out there for draft guides, and you're not going to find it any cheaper anywhere else. So you're going to love it. So whoever wins it's going to love it. You're going to have to shout it from the rooftops how good it is. We're going to bring on our next guy, though. I know he's probably going, shut up, Keith, bring me on. Mr. Nathan Hernandez is going to come on and speak with us now. Here he comes. There's my guy. What's up, man? How are you?
Not too bad. How are you guys?
Doing just fine, man. And we got the Raiders cap. So does that solve us there? Raiders your favorite team?
Yeah, made it easy for you. Sadly, they weren't available to join me behind me like the Seahawks were. But
no Raiders in this one.
Right, no connection. Sorry.
All good, man. So yeah, I know you've been working on Dynasty content. You've done some RB handcuff stuff. You've done offenses on the rise. I'm really excited about that one. So we'll talk about that one. But I just want to kind of get first and foremost. I didn't do this with Sean. I keep forgetting things because I'm just a harebrained person. But tell us a little bit about your fantasy football journey. How long you've been playing? How you got into it? All that good stuff.
Right. Yeah. So I grew up a Raiders fan. Played football since I was young. He said this team stinks. My dad got me into it. He got me into one of the leagues with his friends. Just kind of let me ride his coattails the first season, show me the ropes, and that was about 14 years ago. And yeah, came in. I won the league my second year. Just you could call it luck. I think I had Megatron his big year and Drew Brees that same year. And they just carried me the whole way. I didn't have to.
Good for a long time.
Yeah, I didn't have to do real hard any critical thinking there, so I was safe. But yeah, been here for a minute. Got into Dynasty in the last pretty much year, and really started crunching the numbers about then too, and really kind of making it a homework, just studying a bit more, seeing behind the scenes more.
Dynasty is a different animal.
Yeah, a whole different beast.
Yeah, I love it, man. You call it homework. I mean, I feel like it often is. You got like 4 spreadsheets open, and you're transferring data, and you're trying to crunch it, and you're trying to find your angle.
Yeah, you got to wake up early for the pickup.
Yeah, you got to wake up early, get the right guy to pick up, and everything. It is work. I mean, it's a labor of love when we play these games. Sometimes it's labor that rewards you monetarily if you play for big money like some people do. But anyways, let's talk about first and foremost, your dynasty work there. Tell me a little bit about the stuff you've been covering there, what your angle is there, and what you're excited about on that side.
Yeah. So the first Dynasty piece I picked up was the Stacks article, which it was really fun to do. I've honestly just had put a lot of passion into getting on board and working here. But it was just interesting to kind of just put it together because I didn't have a list in mind going into it, but I just kind of bouncing things off of people, just kind of because, like I said, I'm new to Dynasty, relatively speaking. Just getting insight. When you kind of you have a hunch towards something and you research and it kind of validates it too, that's huge. But and the Stacks article, just combining the values of quarterbacks, receivers, the occasional running back, just finding which way to shake things out. If you can make it happen, obviously don't reach. But yeah, it's just been a lot of fun.
So which you say you just started Dynasty, so obviously you're not like a super duper expert yet, but you've got some exposure now. I'm sure you've learned a lot. You seem like a guy that researches a whole ton. So when you were starting your Dynasty league, what was the first position? Were you looking for a specific name or like a position to fill first? What were you looking for to fill first there?
Yeah, so going in, I kind of didn't really know what to expect. I kind of just hopped into a mock like maybe a few weeks before my actual draft, and it was a 1 QB league, but even so, a lot of QBs still went in the first round because people wanted to lock up that first spot. And I got kind of reactive, and I drafted a QB when I could have had the top running back off the board, which I want to say was JT last year.
Yeah, probably.
And it worked out. I ended up dodging a bullet there. But yeah, it's just finding the nuances, kind of being fluid, not having a set like I'm gonna do this going into every draft. Just learning all the different like possible like routes you can take. Just being able to react. It's
I think for Dynasty for me, and obviously, as you guys out there know, I'm not much of a fantasy football player. I actually entered my first Dynasty league this season, but I'm more of a basketball player. But in general, I think for Dynasty, you want to buy low, sell high thing is like the biggest thing because it's extrapolated over years. I mean, you can literally buy, someone that's not even getting minutes right now, not even getting touches, carries, whatever, and 2 or 3 years down the line, suddenly they're in the top stratosphere. They're a third or fourth or fifth round or whatever talent. So I think that's really the appeal of Dynasty for a lot of people because you start off with your team, but you have a chance to strengthen your team every season, and you have all that ownership over it. So it's a lot of fun, man. So are you planning on entering any more Dynasty leagues this season, or is one enough for you?
Yeah, I've entered 2 more since then. I've got
So it is.
you got
It's like yeah.
It's addicting, and
Less
just getting
flies.
more experience, not having like one like just one source of experience, I guess, in that department. Just being able to see how a real league shakes out. Because in mocks, people are more willing to take risks. When you're playing for real, obviously sometimes the strategy is a lot more precise, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and one thing I definitely want to talk to you about that you've done yourself from scratch here is this thing we're calling offenses on the rise. And you kind of gave us a trajectory for each team over a number of categories. Just explain that to our viewers there. What that's about. What you kind of tried to measure there.
Yeah, so originally it just started as looking at teams that had got better on offense from 2021 to 2022, between last year and the year prior. And it just I was started, researching and writing, and it got like really ballooned out. So I took a look at each aspect of the offense, the passing, rushing, and O-line staff, and then an overall, and just kind of I separated them all, and then made the overall, looking at the rankings based on off-season moves, any coaching additions, players they lost, players they drafted, and just seeing if they would continue that trajectory or maybe they would fizzle out. Would they keep the same pace, keep the same ranking, or would they decrease given a loss in the offseason that could tip the scales the other way?
Yeah, and I think obviously that article is kind of it falls into a couple buckets, right? It helps with Dynasty because we're looking at kind of multiple years and how trajectories work, and a lot of it has to do with personnel, I think, too, and what a franchise values. If they value their younger running back, then obviously they're going to try to feature him, that kind of thing. So it obviously falls in the Dynasty bucket, but also falls
in
the redraft bucket. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I meant to say to include. I also looking at it. I highlighted, how I would look at it for a redraft perspective and in a dynasty if, some players would hold a lot more value this upcoming season as opposed to it being maybe a stash or holding more value, having a higher ADP and
who are the big indicators for that? The biggest differences, redraft versus dynasty?
It's age, contract, depth chart. If someone's on an expiring deal, I'm less less thrilled about them going forward because if they have a big year, they could get a bigger contract somewhere where they're stuck with a bad quarterback and the offense is just down. Maybe they go to a run heavy offense. I like having the security of knowing, what I'm getting into in Dynasty or what I'm locking myself in for.
See, John, he said contracts. Now, John gave me a little pushback here about our salary charts, which is part of our team pages here. I'm just giving you some crap. But I do think it's important, though, especially maybe more so in Dynasty than it is in redraft, but I think it is something to be aware of. If somebody's in a contract year, I think someone mentioned that earlier with Eckler, or somebody that was on a contract here. But
yeah,
they're going to absolutely probably go out there and try to prove that they're worth X amount of money. So I think it's worth being aware of that stuff. But I think, like you said, for Dynasty, knowing a guy has security on a team to a certain extent, then
right. Dalvin Cook just got released.
Yeah. So that's true. You never really know. Nothing's really totally 100% proven, but I think it is something to be aware of. So, any other like trends you're seeing out there, this season or in Dynasty that you kind of want to share with the viewers out there?
I'll tie in my sleeper, I guess, to this if that's all right. Well, I wanted to highlight Jared Goff and the Lions offense. So he's in next year's his contract season. He has like a dead cap hit of $5 million, so they could cut him next season, and he would be out. They could move forward. But this offense is like. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I want to say it was top 3 in scoring, and a big part of that was because of just the air raid was getting them to the red zone, and then Jamal Williams was punching in touchdowns from 2 yards out. 13 of his 17 touchdowns were from 2 yards out. Goff finished as the QB 10, I want to say. If he had, if 6 of those 13 2-yard touchdowns were passing touchdowns for Goff, he would have been the QB 5, I want to say.
I remember his home away splits though are crazy.
Yeah.
Like you almost can't start him on the road.
So Goff is the kind of the sleeper there though, because we're thinking of some positive regression with the touchdowns.
Yeah, and he added 2 pass catching backs, big tight end targets back in the mix with Laporta, the rookie, being added, even though Hawkinson got traded. But
and a couple bad pasties in the division too.
Yeah.
There you go. And who's your first round guy if you can't choose Justin Jefferson? Who are you starting with there?
So big tight end guy. I'll just talk about him because he hasn't been talked about yet. Travis Kelce. Just more so in home leagues, I guess, than like with a lot of experts. I'll bet on myself to be able to find receiving and running back talent later in the draft. If you can get Kelce, he's just an edge every single week. You're doubling the output minimum almost every single week.
Or he has those 4 touchdown games.
I remember that very well.
That's why I think of all the things I've read that have been like, that's like one of the things I've latched onto. I've actually, because I've had a couple of 3 best ball leagues in Underdog, and I've gone trying to get Kelce in every single one. and then go get Mahomes, shortly after that. So I can kind of pair the two and not have to worry about those positions, and I can just get running backs and wide receivers the rest of the way, pretty much. So I love that, man. That's a great call there. But Nathan, man, and you're relatively, I mean, you're brand new to Sports Ethos, but you've been a contributor to other fantasy sites before, correct?
Not fantasy football, but it was basketball and loose leaf football. Yeah, but this is my first experiences here. Yeah.
First hurrah. Well, you've done a fantastic job, man. Just absolutely stoked to have you on the team, and hope you continue to do good work for us, man. I hope you're having fun, and we will talk to you again. We're going to get you guys hooked up with Nathan. Thanks for coming on, man.
Appreciate it.
Later.
All right. And next, I have to look at my little sheet here because I'm not actually sure who's next. They probably know. They're probably sitting there in the chat. Who's making motions in the chat there because they're probably up. Who is it? Here we go. Okay. Arnold. I just bugged the guy and now I forgot he was on. There he is.
Come on, Keith.
There he is. I just tagged the guy and said, "Where are you, Arnold?" My guy Arnott.
How you doing, Keith? It's been a while since we talked, hasn't it?
I know. This is my this is a good guy to talk about his Sports Ethos journey so far. DFS guy for basketball with me. I know he was really new to that. Are those chips in the background, dude? You are just stocked to the nines with chips. What is going on?
Oh, looking in doesn't help.
To the cousin, bro. Come on, man. Someone's hungry.
You got the snacks. This guy's got the snacks. No, yeah. So DFS NBA hopped on with me and did that stuff. But you're a big football fan too. Tell us a little bit about your past playing some fantasy football, man. It looks like you're a Bucks fan. Is that right?
Ooh, okay. Well, I do want to say this. Like, I'm a Tom Brady fan first. Honestly, I've been following him since I was a little kid. He's the reason why the greatest of all time. He's the reason why I fell in love with football in the first place. I still have my old Brady jersey back when he was on the Patriots. I had to get the Buccaneers jersey. That's 100%. You know how it be. But sadly, I will be testing free agency this season. I'm going to be a fan to it all. Let me see. I'm thinking Cowboys. I'm thinking Chargers. I don't know where to go. I'm up in the air. But first and foremost, I am a Brady fan. So that's why I'm rocking the Tom Brady Tampa Bay jersey. Shout out to my boy, number 12.
Do you think he's coming back?
100% no.
100%?
100%. I don't know. 100%. That's quite confident. I don't know.
I'm really looking forward to him like doing like some broadcasting, maybe getting on the golf scene or something. I really hope he takes a next step. I mean, it would be awesome to see him come back. I never got to see him like play, sadly, but I want to see what's next for Brady. Maybe another wife.
All right. Well, let's get to the fantasy football portion here of everything. So you've been working on our defensive rankings, which I actually just got up on the site today. So I apologize again about the delay there, but was looking at those, man. Those are solid. So tell me a little bit. I mean, obviously, not a lot of people are drafting defenses, in their drafts if they have to. But it is still important to know where people stand because you want to be able to obviously stream one week to week. You still need that output from that position. So, tell me some of your takeaways there from kind of working on that project. I know you said you had maybe about half a dozen teams you kind of wanted to talk about there.
Yeah, there was a couple teams that I wanted to talk about. Mainly, I kind of wanted to just go over the fact that people are just drafting defenses at the wrong time. I want to make this a known little fact. I am drafting defenses early. I'm taking my defense when I need it the most. I am not going to sit the entire season streaming defenses. I am going to take my defense and make sure I run with it for as long as I can because I've done it for the last couple of years. And honestly, security over everything. The one thing that Homeboy said, the last guy that came on and everything, he was talking about Travis Kelce. And Travis Kelce was my number one pick. I just wanted to say that. I was really mad when he said Travis Kelce, but shout out to him. He has a brain like no others. So one thing about Travis Kelce, he gives that tight end edge. If you get a defensive edge, that's just so much better. Like, you get so much value from the defense. It's a free 10 points. And the thing is that all the teams start off with 10 points, but they don't end up with 10 points. You need someone to give you that consistency. You need a defense that's going to help you and even put you over the top because I don't know how many games I've lost when it's between 10 points. So I think defenses are important. I am definitely drafting defenses as early as round 11, 12. I'm making sure I'm getting them. I could put the sleepers to the side. I don't mind. Someone's going to be taking a nap somewhere down the line. Like, I'm okay with that. I'm going to take my defenses first.
It's true, man. I've had so many weeks where my D gets 2 points and the other defense gets like 26, and it's just like, Jesus.
Mm-hmm. It's a massive edge to have a good defense. You need that defense to be on your side.
Well, I mean, that's good. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, a lot of it going into it was just making sure that When it comes to the NFL nowadays, honestly, offense is everything. There's so many teams that's going to light it up on you. You need a defense that's going to stop them. And there's not a lot of defenses that you could go with that are going to 100% stop the team that's right in front of them.
Yeah.
But if you were able to get lucky enough to have one of them, I think you're going to have a good shot at getting the championship.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because if you're talking about, we talk about running backs being important, and part of that reason is because part of the reason is scoring, but the other part of the reason is because there's scarcity. There's only, so many starting running backs that get so many touches in the league. There's a zillion wide receivers that, may get some receptions. So you've got some scarcity at that position. So when you're talking about that, I mean, I think, looking at those tiers that you put together and everything, there's only, like you said, there's only a few that you can really bank on. I mean, in your opinion, would you put a number on it? 3, 4, 5? How many defenses in the NFL can we count on to be reliable week to week?
I think reliability, as far as that goes, I think we're going to say about 6, maybe 7, 8. 8, 9 might be pushing it at that point, but to give you that reliability.
Niners, Bengals, and then like Finns will be better. Bills.
Yeah, actually, I have the Finns. I have the Finns jumping up a lot. I have Jets jumping up a lot. But
Jets,
you're gonna get to see this whenever you sign up with SportsEthos.
Yeah, go get those tier rankings, get the rest of them. But I think you've got your first tier does have, I believe, about a half dozen teams in it. So that checks out with what you're talking about there. So yeah. So you've also done some of the team pages for us, though. I know you did the Texans and some other ones there. You did that division. What did you feel about that one? I mean, is there anything that kind of jumped out to you from doing those that you'd want to share with everybody here? Just trends or something. You're looking at a team going from last season into this season. A lot of them looking for the same things going into the season. A lot of them having the same issues. What did you take away from that?
You read my mind. I'm going to start talking about the Texans. That was the first page that I wrote, and I was so excited to write it. I was like, dang, I need this division because I want to make so many Deshaun Watson jokes. I only held it to 1. Oh, no, I held it to 2. I tried my best. But I think the Texans are just making a massive leap, getting DeMeco Ryans as a head coach, a defensive guy. You get Jimmy Ward from the Niners as well. Petre was amazing. If I remember right, he was DB1 last year for IDPs. If you're keeping up with that, and also we are going to be releasing our IDPs coming up. I'm working on that. I swear I got this coming for you all. So Petre was amazing. You have another year of the rookie cornerback last year. I can't really get to the top of my head, but you have that. You have so much potential on the defensive end that this could be a really good season for the defense of Houston. And I actually have them as one of my sleeper teams because I think there's a lot of matchups that permit them to do well, super well, excellent even. So I think the Texans are on the right track. I don't think they get to that entire fantasy value. Maybe not this season, next season possibly, but just give them one more year to have them coming together, incorporate each other, one more year with each other. The offense is brand new. That's one of the biggest things. And going into this, making the tiers and making this list was the offense, because a good defense also you have to have a good offense because there's so much weight that goes on the defense's shoulders when you're trying to win a game. And if your offense is just going out there and doing loosey-goosey, you're not doing anything, you're lollygagging around, and your defense has to come back on in 5 minutes. Yeah, it's just like, well, what are you doing out there? So going into making this tier list, that was definitely something that I was taking accountability on because obviously the offense is just as big as the defense when you take into account. That's what separates a lot of the tiers. If you look into them, there are 6 tiers, 1 through 6, 1 being the best, 6 being the least. I just want to throw it out there. If anybody is using any of the teams in the number 6, you should probably report them for collusion. They're probably cheating. You don't want them on your team. So just make sure you're doing that. But no, I do think the Texans are making a good leap. That was my favorite team page to write. I'm from Texas, so I had that little bit of a little bias there.
Was their secondary actually good, or was it just they're just so bad defending the run that teams were just running it and just electing not to pass, right? That they really got to shore up.
Yeah. When it comes to the run and everything, they weren't the best team by any means. But one thing they were able to do, I'm sorry.
I think they might have been the worst.
Yeah. But yeah, exactly. So when it comes down to it, I think that secondary is going to get locked up a little bit more. another year, getting that Jimmy Ward presence, that veteran presence, as well as getting D'Amico Ryans to help out on that defensive side is definitely going to make sure they lock up the pass. If they can at least lock up the pass, that's cool with me. Obviously, their division opponents are a little bit tougher. You got to deal with Derrick Henry twice a year. You got to deal with Jonathan Taylor twice a year. You got to deal with whoever Jaguars are going out there with, Travis Etienne or maybe just anybody else that they're going to be passing the ball. Regardless, they do got to lock up that rushing defense, and I think that's why they don't take that next step this season. I think it takes 1 more, 2 more seasons to really get them into that 1-2 tier, but they're definitely going to be moving their way up 100%.
What D that was maybe, I don't know, bottom 5, kind of like how the Dolphins were, I think can make the leap?
Ooh, let's see. So Dolphins is definitely one of them. The Jets were definitely one of them.
Yeah, but they were good last year.
Yeah. As far as like making a huge leap, I think the biggest leap I had might have been. Oh God, I'm gonna have to look back on that. Let me look at this real quick, bro.
I know there was one, at least 1 or 2 of them, but I was like, oh man, they were like the low.
That's a big leap, yeah.
Like 11 to 13 area.
Browns.
So
yeah, I think it was the Dolphins. Honestly, the Dolphins were 20th, and I had them pretty high up there. I'm not going to say exactly where, but yeah, I definitely heard the Dolphins probably the biggest leap on this one.
If you want to know where, go get
the
the draft
Saints
guide
as well.
Yeah,
if you want to know where, get the draft guide. The Saints as well. I think with the offense getting better, the defense gets better another year, healthier. Obviously, you don't have Sean Payton, but you know what? Same defense. You're going to go out there and just roll. Division rivals got worse. You should have an advantage in this division. Yeah, so I think the Saints also make that other jump.
I love it, man. I love it. Any other, kind of observations that you've got, from doing this little exercise here? I mean, I think most people are gonna, kind of do what most casual people do, and they're gonna not draft a defense or maybe draft it last round, and then they're gonna be stuck streaming, week to week. And if they go that route, do you have any kind of advice for them? I mean, your advice would be don't do that, but let's say that they ignore that initial advice from you. Any advice to them about, maybe strength of schedule, which I know you included in this, which I was really excited about. But anything that jumps out to you there?
Yeah, you definitely just got to look at the strength of schedule. Obviously, like you could definitely just go out and stream a defense depending on the matchup. You'll be fine if you want to do that. Just make sure your offensive players are going to be top notch. So if for any reason your defense does poop the bed a little bit, at least you don't take a huge hit. If you are going to take a couple sleeper picks, go for it. I don't mind even having like a second defense closer to the playoff time, because sometimes in the playoffs, defensive matchups get crazy. There was one top tier, number 1 team that has the worst playoff schedule. I'm not going to say who, but there is a top tier team that has a terrible playoff schedule. You got to look at that kind of stuff. And I've actually been ranking like a couple of the playoff schedules. I will be having a little rank system coming out soon. I have little notes right here. Let me just take a look at this real quick. A couple teams that I do like.
Oh boy.
Let's see.
For example, they got rid of Baum and no, I'm just kidding. We'll stick to football here. We'll get on that back.
We're not going to talk about that right now.
I was just going to say, playoffs. Do you ever look at like just the weather? Like if a team is going into like Philly, Chicago, Buffalo for their playoff games?
You got to look at the weather, man. You got to look at the weather, especially when you're going up north. You got a lot of rain. You got a lot of snow. That stops a lot of the passing. So if you have a passing offense, they're probably not going to do as good. And hopefully they have a good running back. But if you're looking for a defense that does well, maybe those northern defenses, maybe like a Buffalo Bills, maybe like the New England Patriots, those kind of defenses would probably do pretty good. The Jets, obviously they played in pretty tough weather. I wouldn't go the Bears. Sorry, Keith. But
come on.
There's a couple defenses up there. There's a couple definitely some defenses that you're going to have to take a look at, especially when it comes to the weather. That might even be to your advantage too.
As no spoiler to anybody out there watching or listening, the Bears are pretty lowly ranked in those rankings. Arnold, you gave us your number 1 guy. Oh, no, sorry, you gave us your sleeper, I believe, already, right? So number 1 guy here, first round, can't choose Justin Jefferson. Who you starting your fantasy team with?
Yeah, so originally it was Travis Kelce. I did want to make a little bit of a case for Travis Kelce. I did a couple mock drafts where I'm trying to get Kelce, even with that Mahomes stack. I think that's beautiful. But if I'm not going there, someone already said Eckler, which is a crazy thing because I really wanted to get Eckler too. There was just a lot of players, but honestly, I really do like Eckler. I think you can't go wrong with him. He's reliable. It is his contract year. He's going to get you touchdowns. If you're in PPR, he's going to get you receptions, which is super valuable. He's going to get you rushing. Going to get you rushing yards, like everything, anything and everything. He's going to get it for you. I think Eckler has been a staple in my leagues. Whenever I have a chance to draft him, I'm going to draft him just because he's just so valuable all the way across the board. Yeah. He made a really good point. He takes care of the fantasy game because he likes fantasy. Obviously, we can't really talk about that too much. We don't want to get anybody suspended. But I think Eckler's such a great pick. If you're not going that way, maybe you're looking towards the turn of the round. Maybe something around like a Josh Jacobs area, Tyreek Hill. Would be amazing. But if I'm not going Justin Jefferson number 1, I'm probably going with Austin Eckler.
Awesome. We got another Eckler choice there. That's a good one. Arnold, I appreciate you, man. You do fantastic work always. Hope to continue to work with you here at Sports Ethos for many moons here on the DFS side and the fantasy side, my friend. Appreciate you coming on, man.
Hey, appreciate you for having me, bro. Yeah, let's do it. Wait, does anybody want to know what's in the?
Yeah. We're curious. What's in the fridge? What's in the fridge?
All right, I'm gonna take y'all along with me.
Oh, we're going on a journey now. Let's see what's in the fridge.
Shout out to the big reveal for letting me use her barbershop room. Where she's fading me up all the time, but we have a little bit of snacks here. Of course, we have Sprite.
Oh, look at that! They're all
Dr.
nicely
Pepper, some water
and stuff too. Look at that. Yeah.
So that's what's in the mini fridge. Maybe some beers next time, but
I was gonna say you need a few more fun beverages in there for me. All right.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming on, Arnold. We'll talk to you next time, man.
Hey, thank you, man. Let's do this.
All right, and we've got our next guy coming on here, Mr. Jamie MacQuarrie. What's up, dude?
You guys sure you're not too partied out from our nut?
There's quite a party going on. We've got snacks, we've got drinks, we got the whole shebang here. Another guy here, by the way, everyone that no Baja. Here we go. I should have showed this to Arnett before he jumped off. No Baja Blast? Come on. Anyways, another guy here that has been with Sports Ethos doing NBA NBA DFS with me. We've done a few podcast shows together as well. But Jamie, fantastic to have you on, man. I know football is kind of is that your favorite sport? I don't actually know this.
I always say that basketball is my first love, but football is my moneymaker.
There you go. So he makes the money here. And speaking of which, we can jump right into that, man. I'm going to ask you the questions I asked everyone else, but best ball. We haven't talked about any best ball stuff yet. You've done some best ball work for us, looked at some ADPs there and stuff like that. So tell us a little bit about like your history of playing best ball, how successful you've been, what you're looking at when you're entering a best ball draft.
Yeah, I mean, best ball, I would say I've been playing redraft for over a decade, like many of us, but best ball took it to a whole nother level for me. There's just something like every single best ball draft is its own environment. It's its own thing. It kind of unfolds right in front of you. They have slow drafts on Underdog too, but there's just something very exciting about it. So yeah, I've been playing Underdog pretty much since I heard about Underdog. I guess it's been 3 seasons now. And then I do the DFS on Underdog. The biggest hit I've had on Underdog was I won $8,000 in a battle royale, which is an Underdog weekly draft. And then I hit 18 on another week, so I was able to fund some good stuff from that. But yeah, no, best balls. I mean, I've been drafting since just before the draft, and so like each best ball period is like a snapshot of like what was going on at that time. ADPs are changing. Before you get the training camp reports of like some 5th round rookie who just like juked a guy and all of a sudden they're shooting up. Like I try to anticipate the trends before they happen. So I guess I've become a full-on best ball bro.
Full-on best ball bro. I love it, man. And yeah, I think, you and the other guy, John Rental, that have been doing kind of best ball, work for us. I think I've taken a lot away from those things. I don't know how good I am at it so far. This is my first year trying my hand at it. I'm actually in a best ball slow draft with you. I'm not sure I'm doing super well. I actually drafted when I drafted Lockett and the other Seattle guy, and I didn't get Geno Smith, so I kind of struck out there. I missed him by like 3 picks. So I was like, oh, come on, really? Who's going to take Geno now?
I got to tell you might be zagging without meaning to, because stacking for in particular or for week 17 correlation it's an advantage, but the cat's out of the bag. It used to be kind of a niche thing. The sharps were on it. So now one of the things I wanted to mention, is sometimes I will just, draft trying to build a super team, let the ADP fall to me. If somebody's going to reach, a round or two to try to get a receiver to pair with a quarterback or vice versa, I will, as it unfolds, I'll soak that up. And I'd say that your build, you're inadvertently soaking up the
I have no
stacking of
idea
other
what I'm
teams.
doing. I'm like Mr. Magoo out there. I'm just like, blinders are on. I don't know. I'm just kind of like picking whatever. No, it's like I said, guys. I am kind of a noob here, just kind of re-entering this field here after about maybe about half decade here. And these guys have taught me a lot, man. I've learned a whole lot from these guys. So you guys need to see that draft guide. Been really insightful, especially your stuff there, Jamie, as well. And just kind of want to talk to you about. We already talked to Sean about the wide receiver report and kind of the stuff he was looking at there, but you've also done some work there. So, what are some wide receivers that have kind of stuck out to you from what you've been working on?
Well, as a best ball bro, self-proclaimed, wide receivers are my forte, because the sickos over at Underdog, the ADPs of wide receivers are just through the roof over there. We can talk a little bit about how to extract value from that later. But yeah, the receivers, I wanted to just kind of highlight a couple guys. I know on the rookie report, I focus obviously on rookies. And so some guys whose situations have changed. I've heard a little bit of talk about Todd Monken coming over from Georgia, University of Georgia, taking over the Baltimore scheme. So, I'm big on getting pieces of that offense. So I'm a Zay Flowers guy. We love Zay Flowers, and also Bateman is still so cheap. So in a best ball league, I'll grab them both.
He hasn't fully healed though, right? From his Liz Frank.
Yeah, and I apparently a Liz, I don't know a lot about Liz Frank procedures, but it was fairly routine. So if that's going to drop his ADP a little bit, especially in a best ball format where you can eat a zero, if he's your fifth or sixth receiver, I'm still grabbing him. So yeah, let that scare other people away. I'm still on him.
What about Beckham? Do you like Beckham? I know Brian last night was big on Beckham.
Hard fade on Beckham,
right?
So I don't know how many friends I'm going to make, but I did just finish the mock draft recap from our mock draft, and Beckham is one of my full fades. I just not messing with the dude who's been around that long, with an extensive injury history. If somebody is right on Beckham, I'll give him a little clap. But yeah, Beckham's a full fade for me.
Yeah, we had Sean earlier, actually, and you guys are both working on the wide receiver report, but you're also a Supersonic Seahawks type a fan there, right? You live out that way. So is that your team there?
That is my life. Yeah, it's a way of life. I had no idea Sean was a Seahawks fan. Unlike him, I'm not able to transfer my NBA rooting interest to another team. So I'm an NBA refugee. I'm just hanging out, taking in the information. No emotional attachments.
Best way to be. Back. Yeah, there you go. Best way to be sometimes. All right, let me shoot these questions to you real quick before we move on, though. We'll talk about some other deeper level stuff. But first round, no Justin Jefferson. Who are you starting your team with?
Got to be Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase for me very easily. In a half-point PPR format or more. In a standard, I don't know anybody that still plays standard leagues. Maybe y'all are out there. If so, I'm going CMC for sure. Then Eckler. But yeah, for me it's Jamar Chase. I just think the ceiling on that guy, the only person that can touch it is Justin Jefferson. And he still hasn't had his truly historic season. I think it could be this season. So for me, it's an automatic Jamar Chase.
You're not worried his yards per catch dropped a lot? I think Higgins had more deep ball yards last year.
Right? I like the way they play off each other. Yeah, I think the stats are a little skewed because they were not always playing together. So when Higgins was the wide receiver one when Chase was out, I felt like the stats were a little bit skewed. So if we get a full data point season, 17 games together, I think those things will air themselves out. But just the weekly upside of Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I love Chase too, but I think I would take Higgins just at the value.
Which question for you actually? So in a redraft, a classic kind of redraft league, if you did take Chase, for you maybe it's fourth. Would that shy you away from Higgins, or would you like to double stack even in just not a best ball format or a tournament, just like a regular redraft league?
I love the stack. Then I'd have to obviously get Burrow too.
Yeah.
No, I don't mind it because especially last year, if one goes out, the other one's going to beast, and they kind of were both had a really inconsistent year too. So I mean, I love both of them. I think but I'm a little worried they're too high with Chase, but he's turned himself into he can run every route in the tree, but he's not going to get those rookie 60-yard bombs nearly as frequently.
That's a good point.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. All right, so fantasy sleeper then. We already kind of went over the first round guy, but who's your fantasy sleeper for the season?
I just have to choose one.
Just one.
Okay, I think I'm kind of planting my flag. God, it's so hard to just say.
So crazy.
Okay, I'm gonna say Zach Charbonnet. So not a receiver. If I had to just pick one, just because of the price relative to where you have to take Kenneth Walker, and I think that Zach Charbonnet with his build, he's more of a tradition. Kenneth Walker's incredibly breaks off huge chunk plays, but I think just as a Seahawks fan, I noticed that in between the tackles, he's not what I think the Seahawks are wanting for an every down back. So I think it's going to surprise. All it would take was one little window, and I think Charbonnet could actually overtake Walker at one point, and even if he just missed a week or so. So I love being able to get him in the double-digit rounds. I think in our mock draft, our latest Ethos mock draft, I got him in the 9th or 10th round, and it feels like cheating. Overall ADP wise, it's Zach Charbonnet for me.
Yeah, Walker's like a 1 yard or 10-yard guy, but
exactly
it'll be 1 yard 3 times, then 10 yards.
Yeah, that's right.
Speaking of mock drafts, we do have a mock draft coming up for you guys on this very channel. It's on Saturday, and I believe you both will be there with me. I'll be there as well, but we will be drafting some call it Superflex 2QB PPR league there. Superflex is a little different, I guess, right, John, because you can play QB and you probably are going to play QB, but you don't have to play QB. But basically, that's the same thing there. So 2QB PPR league fantasy mock draft this Saturday on this YouTube channel. Go like and thumbs up that video so you guys get those updates there. All right, so sleepers, we went over first round guy.
I was asking Sean, because I said with DK Lockett last year, everyone faded them because they thought Geno would suck. Ended up beasting. Who do you see making that leap this year that couldn't throw, but now?
I saw when you asked that question, I thought it was really smart, and I would have been smart of me to jot down a response, but I'm not big on the talent of the quarterback Desmond Ridder, but I'm big on the improved offensive environment of the Atlanta Falcons. So I think those pieces, I think their draft prices, whether it be the tight end who still hasn't hit, but everybody is waiting on to hit.
10 black in a row. It's got to be red.
Exactly. So I'm a Pitts guy this year. I'm a Drake London guy. I think everybody's a Bijan guy. But I will say the Atlanta Falcons as a whole doesn't mean you want to draft Desmond Ridder as your quarterback, but I think it's going to be functional enough that those weapons are going to pay off at ADP.
I like that. Yeah. If he can get the play action downfield, it's going to be monsters.
Yes, exactly. So, let's keep it simple for him.
Yeah, I think just listening to you talk across multiple things now, DFS, NBA, and now this fantasy football, I feel like you're the guy that, zig when they zag, you're just always going to be contrarian. Does that accurately portray you as a fantasy player?
It accurately portrays me as a human being.
like to be a little different and stand out a little bit.
I don't mean to, but it's turned out that way.
Did you have a best pick last? Who's your best sleeper last year?
Oof,
let's going back a ways.
Go back into the analogs of 2022.
Just name whoever wound up being the best sleeper and just say that was your pick.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Kenneth Walker. I drafted Kenneth Walker in a redraft league in the 9th, and I'm going to repeat the process with Charbonnet this year. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, that team was nasty.
So it might be a little bit one hit. Any other? And I know you've got me. You're always a guy that's got big plans and big ideas for the future. So anything else that you're kind of cooking up now that we can kind of be anticipating here, the drop in the draft guide? Any subjects that you're super into that we're going to be hitting you up with here soon?
Ooh, I like that question. I guess I'm pivoting a little bit out of my best ball mode and trying to get plugged into redraft mode. So it was crazy how much I learned about where my mind was with all these best ball drafts, doing the mock draft review and going through and just looking, okay, these receivers, this is where I value them because I'm in a best ball space. And so now I'm kind of reacclimating to the redraft space. I'm going to have a lot of projects kind of rolling out there, which are to be announced.
To be continued, to be announced. I like it. Jamie, that's fantastic, man. I appreciate you coming on, buddy. Always a pleasure to talk to you. I know we've done some good work with DFS and continue to do good work with each other on Sports Ethos. If you guys want to follow Jamie, he doesn't have his Twitter there. I've been trying to point out Twitters, but he is at Quanto Physics. Are you changing that, by the way? Or are you gonna keep
Did you memorize that?
I had to look it up earlier for something, so I kind of had it memorized, but yeah.
I'll put it in the YouTube chat now. Good
There
catch.
you go. Pop it up in the chat there and give my guy a follow. He always does great work.
I also just want to say,
all that. Yeah, go ahead.
Anybody listening at home in your home leagues, draft Quentin Johnston and get pieces of the Chargers offense because Kellen Moore is going to turn that thing into what we want it to be. So just one last plug. Grab him in redraft leagues. You can get him in the 10th round. Yeah. Draft Quentin Johnston.
Yeah, bet Herbert passing yards over.
Exactly. Keep nothing else away. There it is. Appreciate you, Jamie, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
It's been a pleasure.
All right, and we have our last guest coming on. Before we do, our last contributor here, which is going to be Jarod Fox. But before we do, I want to go ahead and just plug this one last time for you guys. This is your last opportunity. We have about 15 minutes here till the end. You're going to go to Twitter. You're going to go to at Ethos Fantasy FB, at Ethos Fantasy FB, and you're going to just retweet the tweet that says, "This is the giveaway tweet." And once you retweet that, you'll be entered in for a chance to win access to this draft guide we've been talking about all night. All these smart people have contributed to it, so we're excited about that. All right, let's bring him on here. This is our last guest of the stream here, our last guest to the party. Showed up late, but not forgotten. What's up, man? How are you, Jarod?
Hey, guys. Doing good. How
awesome.
you guys doing?
Doing well. Been a fantastic night. Talked to a bunch of fantasy football people, so I am doing just great. And you did most of for Sports Ethos. You've mostly and let me go back and say that you were actually a contributor on the Sports Ethos fantasy football stuff last season, correct?
That's right.
Yeah. So he's actually been. This is the second season with fantasy football. I know last year we put out some stuff. It wasn't necessarily It was good, but it wasn't necessarily to the quality and level that we've done this season. So, if you guys checked out our stuff last season, it's a little different this time around. But Team Pages, I think, is the one that you've done the most for us here. And so, tell me a little bit about what you've taken away from just looking at these guys, these teams going into this season.
So I did the NFC East. That's nice, as you can see, in Cowboys fan. So, just picking apart, offense. As far as like the Cowboys, sleepers, players they have, of course, their rivals who I have to root for fantasy, because of
yeah. Sometimes you have to talk about the rivals also.
Who did the boys bring in for the OC, or is Montgomery going to call the plays now?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Because that's not going to go well.
Coach is he's taking a step back, so.
Well, we'll see how that goes.
Comfortable, right?
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Well, let me ask you this, Jarod. How long have you been playing fantasy football? Have you been playing for a long time? What platforms do you play? What formats do you typically play?
Oh yeah, I've been playing for 10 plus years. I'm not sure the exact time frame, but I've been playing since I was a small kid with my dad. He got me into it. We're playing, hardcore IDP leagues, all kinds of crazy things. And about like 16 years old, I'm over here beating all the pro players, so I've been playing for a long time. Mostly do PPR leagues. That's my format. Especially nowadays, that's all I play is PPR. So I'm the receiver guy. Guys at work make fun of me because I don't draft running backs. I'm 0 RB. I'm obviously
zero RB.
I love scoring the big points, having the most points at the end of the season.
Yeah, 0 RB. That's a big. It's been that was popular a couple of years ago, and it's been pretty popular up until this season even. But we do have a couple articles coming out on that actually. Shane's not here; wasn't able to join us because he's out of town. But he wrote a couple articles on that. So you just draft mostly wide receivers, and the running backs you kind of just go by committee late in the drafts. I think a lot of people are doing that now.
I like zero starting RB, and then just drafting the backups. Like that really paid off last year too.
Yeah, I like zero or hero. I do hero RB as well. Draft one big one and then just all receivers down the line. And then you draft someone else's backup. Like you draft Eckler in the first, and then you start drafting everyone else's backups. That's kind of how I'm doing. I don't do the whole handcuffs. Grab other people's handcuffs. That's how I play. Play to win.
Smart, yeah.
So, there you go. As long as you have a strategy going in, man, and you execute that strategy, that's what it's all about. So, all right. So let's talk about if you have your first round pick there, no Justin Jefferson, pick of anybody else on the board there. Who are you going with to start your team?
Well, I was listening, and JB before me picked Jamar Chase, and that was my pick. I'm Jamar Chase.
Wow.
I think he has the highest upside among all receivers. I think he could be the receiver 1 this year.
So we're liking Jamar Chase. That's another key there for Jamar Chase. And who's your sleeper for this season going into the season?
My sleeper, I'm not sure. He's not like that late, and it's a running back, so that's not even my style. But I think Isaiah Pacheco's my guy. He's rushing play.
He's my guy too.
RB26 this range, so not really an RB2, RB3 range. That's kind of where he's being drafted. And he averages 5 yards per carry last year. Guy is a monster. He can run over anybody. He has what they call typewriter feet. You know, he's kind of moves his feet around the backfield, kind of like Le'Veon Bell back in the day. Not really much of a pass catcher, but I think he makes up for it, and he'll be the Chiefs' just 1,000-yard running back, and I think he's primed for a big season.
Just depends what they do in the goal line, right? If they let Mahomes just do his funny plays, or.
Right.
But yeah, but I love Pacheco. I don't understand why more people don't love him. Like I don't. Best offense. They score tons of touchdowns, and he just pounds the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Great, man. No, I love it, and I think I apologize to all the viewers and listeners out there. Oh my gosh, someone just ordered a case of Baja Blast, and I actually, you know what? Which is funny because I actually just had Taco Bell for dinner, and of course I had to get Baja Blast. Why would you ever go to Taco Bell and not get Baja Blast? So, funny that everyone's bringing that up right now. Anyways, I apologize to everyone out there. I didn't introduce my co-host here, Mr. John Marcel, so he had to join us late because of a rugby game there. But John also worked on these team pages as well. So I'm kind of curious. And John, I would say take it to the next level, man. He really went above and beyond and stuck a lot of really key insights in there. So takeaways from you, in that process with the team pages.
Oh, with me? I mean, it's just you kind of start somewhere and you don't know where you're going to finish. And then you just kind of keep pulling on threads. And then it's just you just end up with so much information in your head. You don't even really know how to process it or regurgitate it out. But I mean, I don't think there's a better way to prepare for doing fantasy season than just doing all these deep dives on the teams. Yeah. And I can't wait. I can't wait for the real drafts because I just feel like I'm just going to smoke everyone. But
he's ready. He's ready and he's raring. I mean, that's what our draft guide's going to do. He's going to get you up there and ready for that because you've got all these great brains behind it. But
especially for the mock draft on Saturday, where obviously Kulz is probably going to draft a terrible team again.
Kulz, you're being called out. Kulz, you're being called out. Jarod, you're in that draft with us too, right? On Saturday.
I am. I'm picking number 4. I should be.
So he'll be there with us as well. Yeah.
So how many teams make the playoffs from the NFC East?
Oof. I'll just go with 2. I think 2.
Giant? You're always taking the boys, and you got to take the Eagles, right?
Cowboys, Eagles. I think
Cowboys,
so.
Eagles. Okay, there you go. You heard it here first. Okay, so what else do? You've been playing fantasy football for a long time, taking down these guys when you were younger. What else do you do to get prepared for the season? I mean, we look at these, teams, one by one, and kind of look at them and analyze them that way. But what's kind of a trend that you kind of attack and try to I mean, obviously you kind of already told us that you don't really target running backs right away, but what else are you looking at?
I listen to podcasts mostly. I'm a mailman, so I'm out on the route, I just kind of do my own thing. So I have the AirPods in, just listening to podcasts and forming my own assumptions of players. So that's mostly, just listen to other people's thoughts. I read articles, listen to podcasts, and just form my own thoughts based on what people are telling me. And of course, it's experience. I've been playing for over 10 years and just, I play for big money. I do like infinite, I put money in and just keep winning, so it's just, I just keep putting in earnings to play more and more and more. So that's kind of how I play.
Big money? Can I ask what that, what that means?
Give us a number. Millions.
My highest earnings is 1,200. My first year playing, I earned over 1,200 in one league, and that just kept me going. From then on, I'm just like, okay, I'm hooked.
I love it. That would keep me going too. Win a little bit of money there, a little bit of scratch, and
a lot of Taco Bell.
Yeah, a lot of Taco Bell. A lot of those chalupas that I ate earlier, which are starting to haunt me now. Jarod, anything else that you're kind of noticing this season? Maybe QBs are going early or anything like that. Something that you've taken away from kind of looking at the board so far this early.
Yeah, I'm looking at Justin Fields, obviously, your guy, as a top 5 quarterback. Guys like him, guys like Daniel Jones, of course, just running quarterbacks that we've kind of caught on, as far as taking quarterbacks in the late, middle rounds and moving them up based on running ability, like Lamar Jackson, how he's kind of already become an elite quarterback. So I'm mostly looking at running quarterbacks. Sam Howell from Washington, once he takes over, I'm not sure Brissett's the main guy for a long time, but I think once Howell gets in there, he can be kind of like what Daniel Jones has been the last few years. So I'm mostly looking at late quarterbacks like that I feel can take over and make a big impact.
But how good a backup would you take? So if you take Fields, like he's probably not playing 17. Like, are you going to then reach for your backup too?
Yeah, you could go safe. You can still get Kirk Cousins late. You can still get Aaron Rodgers very late. Someone safe like that. I like that a lot. And I'm most looking for the running quarterback. That's mostly if I can grab Jalen Hurts, all those kinds of guys in the early. Josh Allen, it's just, and then grab a safe backup later. Or in a 2-quarterback league, even going deeper like to Sam Howell, those kinds of guys. Late. Trey Lance, if he takes over, he's a good late round pick.
We'll be seeing that on Saturday because of the 2QB league, and I know Kulz was on singing praises for Mr. Trey Lance. I think that's a risky play, but people seem to be on that, so there you go.
I mean, he's got upside.
He does got the upside, and that's what you want when you're drafting late, obviously. So, well, I love it, man. Appreciate you, Jarod, for coming on, man. Thanks for all of your insights there. Thank you for all of your hard work. You're definitely doing some killer work there on the draft guide, and we'll see you on Saturday for the draft, my friend.
Yeah, I'll be there.
All right. Take care, man.
You too, guys. Thank you.
All right. And that's going to do it for us, guys. That is our last contributor. Again, John, I didn't really introduce you before. This is our sub-editor for our fantasy basketball, fantasy football,
I like being Robin
and basketball division. But yeah, he's does great work. I mean, just an incredibly smart guy when it comes to fantasy sports. Do follow him on Twitter also at that Twitter handle there that he's got there. You can follow me at this Twitter handle here. You guys have maybe about 5 more minutes here to go ahead and retweet that tweet on our website there. But hey, while I got you here, John, just me and you, any wisdom you want to impart on our viewers here, our listeners, anything that you're kind of realizing that we may not have quite touched base on yet?
We touched on base on a lot, but I guess maybe from doing the team pages, the NFC North is pretty much the division I'm going to just only draft from. Because I mean, the Vikings past eat garbage, Bears deep past eat garbage. I think the Packers are, they brought back Joe Barry again. He's not any good defensive coordinator. And then the Lions defense garbage. So it's like you could have 3, bottom 20 defenses in that division. You get 6 games each, and they're playing each other at the end of the season. So it's like I'm just gonna, if I can get Jefferson, I'm gonna get Cousins, and then I'm gonna get all the Lions running backs. So. That's the biggest takeaway I got from doing the team pages. Kind of like avoid the AFC East, even though it's stacked, and I'm just going to be all in NFC North.
I'm avoiding this playground where all the kids are playing, and I'm just going to have my own playground here where I've got all these toys, and I'm just going to mess around with them.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting. I think one of the things that I've taken away from just reading everyone's work, doing my own research, is that speaking of bad teams and bad defenses, I mean, when teams get down, they pass a lot, obviously. So that's something that I'd never even really thought of before, was that when a team has a bad defense and they end up giving a lot of points up early, they're going to end up going to the air a lot. So I'm actually liking what Jarod was talking about there at the end with the 0 RB approach to things, and just kind of drafting wide receivers early and trying to get my QB a little early as well. So, I mean, is that the way that you're kind of leaning this season, or do you think that it just kind of goes however the draft goes? I mean, do you are you more fluid, or more, do you go in with a plan?
I mean, I'm always going to if Travis Kelce's available in the draft, I'm taking him.
Yeah.
It's the hard rule. I don't care. 150, it's just
positional advantage, right? Because nobody else does what he does at that position.
But I'm not 0 RB, but I love second RB. Like last year, I was taking Ramondre Stevenson, Pollard. You can get those guys way later, and there's a good chance they're going to end up starting. I think that's the best way to go. And then Jamie was saying Charbonnet. Charbonnet could be, RB10, RB15 easy by the end of the year, and you're getting him for free. So I'm all, give me the back. And Shane was saying, I think, is it Chase Brown, the Bengals second running back?
Mm-hmm.
That's a great pick too. You just get running back, you get these no-name guys, but not end of the draft, but mid to late. And you're gonna hit lottery tickets.
And I love this. I don't know if you saw this when I popped you up here, but Kulz is already talking smack.
Yeah, I know.
which is fun because I actually want to announce here to all the contributors that are still around and listening that we are going to be doing a an expert league within SportsEthos. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We should be able to post about that and talk about that and crap talk each other. I'm not going to say the S word, but you know what I mean. Talk some smack to each other and have a whole lot of fun there. So getting that up off the ground, we've gotten so many things up off the ground at SportsEthos, and I'm just super duper excited at where this is all going. If you guys haven't already, go follow at Ethos Fantasy FB, at Ethos Fantasy FB. We will have some free articles coming out here probably in the next few weeks. Once the draft season really does start in earnest, people will start drafting here pretty soon. I mean, it's coming up on us. Some of the early drafters. Yeah. So go ahead.
Oh, it's coming up quick. It's going to be exhibition, and then all of a sudden summer's over. Let's go.
Yep. So it's going to happen real quickly here. Appreciate everybody for joining us. Really do. Hope you guys do like and subscribe to the channel. And oh, hey, look, my cousins. I'm just going to pop them up here. Look at that. You got up there, Spence. Let's go. That's my cousin. Love that guy. All right, guys. Until next time. I was going to say go get that money. That's my DFS sign off. But hey, we'll talk to you again about some fantasy football here. Thanks for joining us, guys.
All right. Later.